Hello, my name is Lloyd Jones. I'm a current graduate student for Cornell. I'm within the MPS program for viticulture and oenology. This course that I'm taking is Fall Vineyard Practicum. We have a presentation to present. My project is on Botrytis and Downy Mildew on grapes within the East Coast. So this would all be within the family of Vitaceae. So Vitis is the genus, and then species such as Labrusca, Riparia, Vinifera rupestris, rotundifolia, etc. The two fungi that I mentioned before, Botrytis and Downy Mildew, both affect this genus and plenty other. This just happens to be one of the host plants that I'll be talking about. Botrytis is also known as Botrytis cinerea scientifically, and then also commonly it's known as Botrytis bunch rot. Downy mildew is a common name for the other fungus, and the scientific name is Plasmoptera viticola. Once again, Plasmoptera viticola. So, in this presentation, I'll talk about ways to treat it, whether it be cultural, biological, or chemical practices within IPM, which stands for Integrated Pest Management. These just happen to be two pests that I chose because they are devastating within vineyards. They do cause a lot of harm to the plants in terms of yield reduction, crop loss, and over time it will cause harm to the plants, years of weakening it. So when it comes to botrytis, ways of or symptoms to spot the fungus on the fruits are noticeable as brown spots. You'll find it on the leaf surface. Eventually it becomes necrotic. The fruit itself will grow a mold of spores and just eventually become soft and begin to rot, thus the name bunch rot. When it comes to downy mildew, one of the most noticeable symptoms or characteristics of downy mildew is the undersurface presenting white kind of like fuzz. It's not like powdery mildew where it's on top of the leaf surface or other surfaces of the plant that creates a powdery substance. Downy mildew creates more of like a fuzz underneath, and that's the spores. That's pretty much in its mature stages. The immature stages, you'll find it on the upper surface of the leaf or other parts of the plant, creating oil spots is what it has been called or is called. So it's small oil spots that become wider. You'll find that on the leaf surface. On the shoots, you'll find brown necrotic oil slicks or oil spots on the shoots itself. But once the pathogen has matured, you'll find white fuzz on the underside of where the spots are. And then on the fruit, the same thing, in other parts of the live tissue, you'll find the downy mildew growing. Both of these pathogens, like humid, wet conditions, help to, or rainfalls will help to transmit the disease, but wind also helps disseminate it, moving the spores back and forth from one location to the next. One of the best things you can do when it comes to these pathogens or diseases is to keep things within the vineyard sanitized, meaning removing any fallen debris that might have a pathogen or a disease or a fungus growing on it, and could overwinter or eventually get into the soil and stay there for a number of years and eventually resurface and keep infecting the site. So sanitization is probably key when it comes to cultural practices. Pruning, if you find anything from monitoring, constantly remove, prune, and keeping your tools and equipment clean is also another good practice. When it comes to chemicals, there's lots of fungicides out in the market that could be used to control either one of these diseases. It's not curable, but it can be prevented or controlled to a point or to a threshold. There's also biological controls, such as selecting disease-resistant cultivars that's been bred at many different universities. Also collecting hardy selecting hardy cultivars and planting those within your vineyard versus something that won't take to the environment well. What else can I mention? Just trying to gather my thoughts. Having a good IPM program is a great thing to have. Going out and monitoring, scouting, keeping an eye out for any pests before it gets a chance to infect or to spread throughout the vineyard. So therefore, just daily or weekly or every other day scouting would definitely help to prevent or to lower the chances of an outbreak. Once you can spot where it's at, you can treat it rather quickly with a simple spray or removing it right away. Unless it's in multiple areas, spraying probably would be best. And what else can I mention? Well, having good airflow is also another good thing to have within a vineyard, or just in general, instead of having stagnant air or a bunch or cluster of leaves in an area where air can't penetrate freely. So opening up the canopy, pruning to a point. You don't want to over prune. The plants still need to photosynthesize, but having an open canopy would allow air to flow through and pests to not stay within specific pockets that they like or conditions that they favor, which once again, high humidity and wet conditions. So if the plant gets a chance to dry out enough with proper air movement, that can decrease these specific pathogens from germinating or spreading. Uh, Go through the cycle of each of these pathogens. They're rather similar to a point where they create spores or oospores. They overwinter as oospores within mummified fruit or other organic material within the vineyard floor. So it's always good to remove that debris each year or throughout the season. But they will overwinter, and then eventually, once the conditions are favorable, or when there is a rainfall that will allow for the spores to splash up to either the leaves, lower leaves, or to the shoots, they will start to spread from that point on, and then the cycle will continue as the leaves drop for the next season and prior on and further. So that being said, two unique fungus that or fungi that affect grapes. They can be controlled. There is no cure for it, but once you identify it, once you know it, you can definitely put a stop to it and have better yields throughout the growing seasons. Thank you.